and welcome to Ballot Meridian election coverage on HOMTV. I'm Gabriella Galloway. Joining us for this candidate interview is Christopher Pawsat, Republican candidate for Ingham County Commissioner for the 12th District. Welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Gabriella, for having me today, and thank you to all the viewers who are watching today. I think it's super important that you guys get to know the candidate. So my name's Christopher Pawsat, and I'm running for County Commissioner here in Ingham's 12th District. I'm a graduate of Okemos High School and a lifelong resident of Okemos. I'm a senior right now in James Madison College at Michigan State, and I'm studying international relations. In addition to that, I've worked at my dad's small business, the Center for Optimal Health, and seen him grow that from nothing. Also, I work at Jackson National Life Insurance, and I have worked at Meyer in the past. Most importantly, though, I'm a taxpayer just like you, and I'm sick of our taxes being wasted right now, and I'm sick of the mismanagement going on up there. So I'm running to make sure we can bring some common sense back to the Ingham County Commission so we can protect you as the taxpayer, because I think it's super important that we have proper representation up there. So thank you for having me today, and I'm excited for this interview.
Awesome. Thank you. Each 12th District Ingham County Commissioner candidate will be asked a standard list of 10 questions. Let's get started with question number 1. What qualifications do you bring to the position of County Commissioner?
Well, my qualifications, it's quite a unique thing. I'm the future of Ingham County. I'm a millennial right now, and I can bring a fresh perspective. I have millennial energy, I have millennial innovation, and I have the ability to communicate across all generations. I mean, wouldn't it be awesome to have a commissioner who's up there who's, using social media, who's using, the modern technology and things like that to communicate real time with his constituents? So, to use that to make sure we fill our potholes, to give the people the proper representation they need so they can communicate with us whenever they need to, and we can always be there, because I think that's super important and a void we need to fill, because after all, as an elected official, you are, the people are the boss of you, and we need to bring that back. And that's what I think I can do as a millennial, that energy and that proper representation through social media, through coffee hours, through just standard voter contact, so we can come up with solutions together and work together as a team and a community. And I think we truthfully need to build that. So that's my qualifications.
Question number 2. What one part of county government would receive more attention if you were elected?
So quite frankly, I cannot answer that with just one, because there's many parts of the county government that need equal attention. So there's 4 in specific for me, and that starts with the parks, the roads, the sheriff, and our county employees' pensions. So let me first start with the parks. I mean, we have all used the parks. We all love them, and we know how, you get that nice feeling in you when you get to go out there and feel the wind blowing through your hair, and you just feel so healthy afterwards, and it's so important to the health of the community. So I want to make sure we can maintain those beautiful parks, the green grass, the big trees. But what I don't want to see is it become a bureaucratic sinkhole, that we just keep putting money into the parks and it go nowhere. We need to have beautiful parks with efficient spending. So that's the first one, the parks. 2 is the roads. So I want to ask the viewer this. How many times have you run over the same pothole on your way to work? How many times have you had to go to the auto body shop and fix your suspension or fix your rims? Being one of the highest taxed counties in Michigan, that's not fair to you. And we owe it to the taxpayer to make sure those potholes are filled. So that's the second thing, the roads. And in addition to that also, using social media and using the new technology we can for voter contact, we can allow the people to tell us where the potholes are. And we can help the Ingham County Road Department, who's great, give them the abilities to talk to the people in real time so they know where to put their priorities. I think that's super important. Third is the Ingham County Sheriff's Department. Right now, we have a very understaffed Sheriff's Department. And one of the biggest roles of the Ingham County Sheriff's Department is to provide backup for the local municipalities, like Meridian Township. I mean, could you imagine being an officer right now, pulling someone over and not knowing if you're going to get the backup you need? And they do so much for us. I think we owe it to them to give them that backup so they can be protected. And not only that, it's going to give them more effective ways to protect us, because I think, we need to have law and order in order to have a great community. So that is something I definitely want to put a priority on. And lastly, the county pensions. This one hits home with me, because could you imagine being someone who's worked your entire life patrolling the streets, you know, filling potholes for the people of Ingham County, only to know your pensions aren't being fully funded? I think, you know, we need to live up and honor the commitment we made to these retirees. We need to make sure we can protect them and protect the taxpayer. One, we made the honor, we made the commitment, we made the promise to the retirees. So we need to give them that money because it's morally the right thing to do, ethically and legally the right thing to do. And the taxpayer, you guys will foot the bill if this debt keeps going up. So if nothing's done, you guys will be the ones paying for that, and I don't want to see that happen. So I'm going to go up there and fight to make sure we are putting money into there so we can protect the retirees and the taxpayer. And I would say those are equal for my attention.
Question number 3, what is your position on the county's role in combating chronic wasting disease in the local deer population?
Yeah, I'm happy you guys asked this one because this is quite an interesting question. So first I want to say I do recognize the problem, you know, for the deer population environmentally, and although controversially, you know, I've done my research and there could be an impact on humans. So I've looked at it, I get it, and I see the problems. And I'm all for solving the problems. And so what I think the county's role is to make it as easy as possible for the agencies who are in charge of combating these diseases to take control. So for example, the DNR is very good at this. I mean, they're professionals. The taxpayers pay them to do this job. So what I want to see is the county making sure that the DNR, federal agencies have all the abilities they can to take care of the problem. Kind of have us take a step back and just say, hey, how can we help? If you need authorization of our land, then you got it. Let's talk to one another and make sure they have the easiest possible way to do the research they need, the controlled shoots, and anything else they may need.
Question number 4, what do you see as the most pressing needs for infrastructure or capital projects in the county?
So this goes right back to the roads. I mean, without proper roads, you don't have businesses, you don't have parks, you don't have malls, you don't have any of that make the county great. So what we need to do is make sure, like I said before, that we're finding innovative ways to fill the potholes, to make sure our roads are great. And that means using social media, stuff like that, to give the Ingham County Road Department the proper, you know, real-time connection with the people so they know where the potholes are. Not only that, we need to make sure we talk to the Ingham County Road Department and see where they need the funds and if they need more funds and whatever we can do to help them. Because I think that is so important. Because I'll ask the viewer again, I'm sure you have hit the same pothole on your way to work, and I am sure that you've had to fix your rims and your suspension because the roads hurt your car. And living in one of the highest tax counties in Michigan, we owe it to you to make sure these roads are safe for you. And you know, right now it's kind of concerning because in the county we're pursuing things like the BRT, you know, the rapid transit bus system, instead of fixing the roads. And if we're going to start looking into things like that before we're fixing the actual roads, I think it's quite disturbing because we need to make sure we have our priorities set straight. We can't just keep taxing people to find these extra projects before we get our priorities straight, which are the roads, the potholes, you know, fixing all that so we can, you know, have people drive safely on the road before we start thinking about anything else. So.
Question number 5, please explain your position and how you would address overcrowding at the Ingham County Jail.
So my position on this is, you know, it's quite an interesting topic. You know, there is overcrowding, and I recognize that. And I recognize there needs to be renovations in the jail, and I recognize there may need to be expansion. Everyone knows that, and we're all on board with that. But the way I want to see this solved is I want to see the new sheriff, whoever it may be, go up there and do a complete audit of the jail and present it to the commission. Because you can't just put taxpayer money here and there without a plan, right? You can't do that. So what I want to see is the new sheriff come up there, give us an audit, so maybe they need new ventilation, maybe they need new posts open, because in the past we had closed some posts, I mean a couple of years ago. And so I want to see him give us a complete plan of what he needs after that audit. Maybe new ventilation, maybe new beds, maybe new post open, but he needs to deliver us that plan. And after he delivers us that plan, then we can start assessing what kind of funds we need to put there, what we need to open. But before anyone makes any, claims on what they should or shouldn't do, it needs to have an audit so that way we know exactly where our taxpayer money is going, so we don't mismanagement and we have a plan with what we're doing. Because I'll say it again, we owe it to you to have a plan with how we're using your money. It's the fair thing to do, it's the right thing to do, and that's my position on the jail.
Question number 6, according to the Ingham County Health Department, opiates has been on the rise and opioid-related deaths have been increasing at an alarming rate. What would your approach be in handling this issue and other drug-related issues?
So just recently, I was at a friend's house in East Lansing. This one actually hits home because I just had a recent experience with this. Not personally, but I was at a friend's house in East Lansing, and I was just sitting there, and unfortunately their neighbor, they live in a duplex, overdosed on some heroin. And it was quite tragic, and it kept me up at night thinking about it, because I saw them carry this lifeless body out in a body bag. I saw this lifeless 20-year-old, coming out, 20-some-year-old coming out of the house, and I thought thought of my own life and saw that and saw how sorry I felt that he was, helpless to this drug, and how much we needed to help him, and I couldn't sleep, and it disturbed me. So I have had personal experiences with this right in Ingham County, and I understand that this is an epidemic. So there is stuff we have to do about this. And the first thing I think we need to do is make sure, like I said, we have more deputies on the street. We properly resource the sheriff's department, because we need to show these kids love. So first off, the Ingham County police officers now can carry medicine and a shot that can revive these kids after a heroin overdose. So number one, they can be trained in it, they can carry it on them, and they can revive people, which is awesome because it can save lives. And two, who is the first social worker to respond to any case? It's the police. And so if we have deputies out there who aren't rushed, who are there to show love, I think that we can make a difference in some of these kids' lives, because instead of just breaking down the door and arresting them and stuff, we can tell, these deputies can tell them that there's going to be ways to help them, that they're not part of the problem, they're only trying to save their life. And I think that's super, super important, because if we have an understaffed sheriff's department, with not enough deputies on the road, they're rushing and they can't show the love they're supposed to. And so I think that's very important. And so one of the ways that they can, tell these kids that we're here for them, that we're helping them, is tell them that there's going to be alternate ways of prosecution. We don't need to just slam them into jail. So we need to look at alternative ways. Obviously, everyone thinks of rehab first, which is everyone's in for. I'm totally fine for funding that, rehab. But in addition to that, we need to look at ways after rehab, because if you look at it, a lot of these people go to rehab and then they go back to the same environment and fall into the same life they were in. And that's not us showing them love. That's not love there, because we kind of just like, you can go back out. What I want to see is programs after that, structural programs to provide structure in their life, like peer-led groups, STEPS groups, things like that, so that way they can get their life back on track and we can give them a positive life afterwards. And I think that that is a very important thing, because showing them love is only going to help them and show them that they do have something to live for, because when you're on this stuff, you're helpless, and I think it's only fair to them. And lastly, we need to shut off the faucet of drugs coming into our community. And I'm excited to, go up there and see how we can work with the sheriff's department to find an innovative and aggressive way to shut off that faucet so these kids don't get exposed to that. And like saying, I'm a student at MSU, and it's an epidemic over there, and it's going to come into Meridian Township and all this kind of stuff. So we definitely need to shut this off. And so I'm more than willing to work with the sheriff's department on this, and work with the prosecutor, and work with the commission to find ways to combat this through love and making sure we stop the flow.
Question number 7, how do you believe you would be a good representative for Meridian Township if elected to the Ingham County Board of Commissioners?
So this goes back to what I said before. I'm a fresh start. I'm the future of Ingham County, and I'm willing to find innovative ways to reach out to the community, you know, through innovation, through decision making, through communication across all levels. I'm going to go up there and do that, and that means using social media, using websites, using the things of today so that way we can reach out to the voter, because there's really no excuse to not talk to the voter now, because information travels so fastly, because we have the ability to communicate so fast. It's not an excuse anymore. And I'm going to be the guy up there going up, talking to the voter. I mean, could you imagine that? You have a pothole in your road and you can go, hey, Christopher, I have a pothole here on whatever street. Could you come fix it or have someone come fix it for me? And I'd be like, sure, even if I can't do it, I'll find someone to do it, because I'm the servant of the people. They are my boss, and we need to be there for them, because like any other job, you have to report to your boss, and that's the big thing, is I'm going to be able to do that. Not only that, is my work ethic is incredible. I've been knocking doors since March, and many of you have seen me at your door, and I have talked to thousands and thousands of people, and I've listened. And through talking with them, I've come up with solutions for the problems in Ingham County based on what they need, what they want. And I think it's super important that we have someone in there who's going to have the energy and the patience and the innovation to talk to the people and listen to them. And so that's something I'm going to be able to offer you. And I've proven I can do that through the amount of doors I hit. I mean, thousands and thousands. And the coffee hours I've already held, and the meet and greets I've already held, because I want to give the people the opportunity to talk to me. I mean, when I'm in office, I'm going to hold coffee hours, because I think it's so critical that people have the access to me. So they'll have access to me through coffee hours, Facebook, websites, you name it, email. And I think that's something I can offer to the people, is direct, great representation.
Question number 8, if resources were available, what one area of county services do you feel needs additional resources?
So if we have any additional resources, it goes straight to the pensions, in my opinion. If we have money left over, it goes straight to the pensions. And why is that? Because these people worked so hard for us that we owe it to them. We have to honor our commitment. Imagine working your entire life, filling potholes, patrolling the streets, and knowing your pensions are properly funded. I think that's a scary thought for those workers, and we need to honor that promise, because it's such the right thing to do. And I think we need to honor that commitment morally, ethically, legally. And not only that, is who's going to foot the bill if we don't do it? If we don't put the money in there, it's going to be you, the taxpayer. I want to make sure you guys don't have to pay for it and our pensioners are taken care of. And that's what I'm going to go up and fight for, because it is just so critically important that we honor our word. Because if we don't honor our word with this thing, then I mean, it can slip to another thing and then to another thing. Honor our commitment, do the right thing. And that's why I would put the resources there.
Question number 9. In November 2014, voters approved a county-wide parks and trails millage. Projects are not anticipated to begin until 2017, even though funds have been building over the last 2 years. What role would you take to move this project forward?
So this project, this question, I love this question, because it just gives you a prime example of mismanagement at the county level. Just like what I was talking about with the jail. They put taxpayer, they took a millage, they put up a millage and then took taxpayer money without an actual plan. With me, you're gonna get a plan. Before we put up any millage, I'm gonna need to see where exactly the money's going, a timeline of it, so that way we can use your money properly. We need to end this mismanagement. Not only is it mismanagement, but there's no decision making, because the funds keep building. It was passed in 2014 and the funds keep building. Make decisions. Make decisions, because it's not fair to the taxpayer. And with me, you're gonna get a decision maker, because I'm not afraid to make them. And in the first place though, I'll have a plan. So I'll have a plan in place to make those decisions right on time, ready to go, because I think it's the right thing to do to the people, because we can't just take your taxpayer dollars and mismanage it. So in this example, I mean, I would go up there and do my best to make sure these funds are getting used for the parks that were, the millage that was passed in 2014. I'm gonna go up there and see what we can do with it, with the funds that are built up, to see if we can get action rolling. But aside from that though, I wanna hit back the point of the mismanagement and decision making. This can't happen again. Every millage that goes up needs a plan, and it needs decision making, and that's what you're gonna get with me, because it's not right to the taxpayer if we don't have that. And that's just a prime example of what's going on up there. Is there's no there's a ton of mismanagement, and there's no decision making, and with me you're gonna get that because it's the right thing to do.
Question number 10, what do you consider to be the top 2 challenges facing Ingham County today and in the future?
So, this comes back, there's just really not 2. It goes back to that, what we just talked about with the parks. It's the mismanagement. We need to bring proper management back up there. We need to bring, somebody who's gonna, before they put up a new millage, make sure we have a plan in place. And that's going to be a challenge because it's going to be a bunch of commissioners up there, and we're all going to have to agree on this plan. But what I can tell you is I'm going to pursue it until we do have a plan, because I think it's the right thing to do. Secondly, decision making. It goes back to the parks again. Decision making, making sure that money is going into the right places, making sure it's going towards paving something or something it was originally supposed to do, so that way the taxpayer dollars don't keep going up. I think that's super crucial. I think it's super important to the people that we instill that back into the commission. It goes back to the roads, decision making there, making sure we can put the money in the potholes where they're needed, make sure it goes here so we can list our priorities and not go, we could put some here and some there. No, priorities need to be set straight, and that's what you're going to get with me. And I think that's going to be the challenges, is because we're going to have to create a whole different culture of decision making, getting away from mismanagement. And that's going to come with me through the innovation I can bring through social media, through the energy I'm going to bring, talking to the voters, finding solutions, because I'm going to make sure we make decisions and the mismanagement starts to end, and that's going to happen with me. So.
At this time, we have finished a standard list of questions with Christopher Pawsat, Republican candidate for Ingham County Commissioner for the 12th District. We have some time remaining, and I have some follow-up questions for you, if you wouldn't mind.
Awesome.
So, are there any topics or issues that you feel passionate about that we haven't discussed at this point in the program?
Right now, I think the big things are the 4 that I listed, and that's really, really what I'm focusing on. And I want to go back to that opioids question, because I think that is so important, because if this comes into the community and starts rising like it has been, like I saw in East Lansing with the kid who was lifeless, I think that the community is going to start to suffer immensely. And we have a great county here, and we have great potential. But we need to make sure we're doing more with that so we can protect the people of Ingham County. And then after we're done with that, we can start working on the mismanagement and all that. So yeah, I think those 4 things that I hit on earlier are really, really essential. And I think those are the things that I'm going to be focusing on as soon as I get elected.
In your introduction, you spoke a little bit about your background with working for your father's business and being a student in the James Madison College at Michigan State. How do you think these experiences affect your candidacy?
Well, I think, working for my dad, who's a small business owner, and seeing him build that from nothing has absolutely, affected my candidacy. I've gone to small businesses, and I've gone in and just to talk to them. And what I want to tell you is I want to make it as easy as possible on these small business owners to thrive. I know many of you small business owners watching this right now have stayed up late at night worrying about what's going to happen the next day, because you're always on your toes as a small business owner. But I want to tell you, with me, I'm going to help you sleep easier, because I want to make sure that the government isn't on your back 24/7, taking your taxes, talking about this and that. No, we need to make it as easy as possible on you as a small business owner, because small business owners are the ones who employ the people in the community. You can go back to the beginning of time here in America, And small businesses have been the focal point of employment in our communities. We need to make it as easy as possible as we can on them. I mean, I've seen my dad stay up late at night, like I said, and worry about this and that. And with me, you're gonna feel comfortable because you know someone has your back, and you're gonna know someone wants to stay out of your hair, so that way you can thrive, you can employ people and put food on people's tables and your own table. I think that's super, super important.
You also talk about a new direction and having a new voice. What exactly does this mean, and what will it mean for Ingham County?
So it'll mean having the proper representation we need. Like I said, I'll be able to bring innovation, energy, management skills, communication skills to the commission, because right now there's a new generation taking over the small businesses, taking over everything, and we need to have communication between all generations. We need to have someone who's up there, who's going to go up there and have the energy to use the social media to talk to the people, who's going to be able to, hold the coffee hours, who's going to hold the meet and greets and attend local meetings, so that way the voters can reach out to you and to the people, excuse me. And with me, you're going to get that. That's going to be the change we see, because right now people are disconnected from the commission. And with me, you're going to see people in this district connected with the commission. They're going to know what's happening, and they're going to know what's going on, because it's the right thing to do. And I think, it's time for a change up there, and a lot of people are feeling that way because they're sick of this stagnated commission mismanaging the money. Like the parks example, go back to that question. It started in 2014, and now it's 2017, and we're still talking about it. No, we need someone who's going to go up there with the energy to start solving these problems and making action happen, and that's going to happen with me as a millennial who has the energy and innovation to do so.
You talked about shutting the faucet off of drugs coming into the area. How exactly do you plan to do that?
Well, I mean, that's going to take cooperation with the Sheriff's Department, with the schools, with Michigan State Police Department, and we're going to have to do a lot of research into how these drugs are coming in. I think that's what it comes down to. The sheriff's going to have to talk to the local PDs and see the police reports and see the investigations on where the drugs are coming from. And it's going to have to be an aggressive campaign, because the kids, I can tell you, I can speak as a student. Again, I see these kids all the time using these drugs, and we don't even know where they're coming from. We need to make sure we're finding where they're coming from and giving the Sheriff's Department the adequate resources to do so. And they need to work, the Sheriff's Department needs to work with local police departments, local municipalities to look into their investigations and see where they are coming from, so we can shut that off. And then from there, then we can start finding the solution, finding the sources. Because once you find the source, then things start to become better, because then the kids aren't getting the drugs. So yeah, that's a plan for that.
We have a few minutes remaining if you would like to give a brief closing statement.
Okay, so I just want to thank you all for watching this today, number one, and say, as a taxpayer, as a citizen, and as a lifelong resident here of Ingham County, I'm ready to start making a change. I'm ready to start standing up for you through energy, innovation, proper representation, communication, plan making. I'm ready to stand up for you as the citizens, so that way we're not mismanaging your money. We're bringing common sense business principles back to the commission, so we can protect you as the taxpayer, because it's the right thing to do, and we're not getting that now. So vote for Pawsat on November 8th to bring common sense back to Ingham County. So
thank you very much for being with us today. This has been a candidate interview with Christopher Pawsat, Republican candidate for Ingham County Commissioner for the 12th District. I'm Gabriella Galloway, inviting you to watch Ballard Meridian election coverage right here on HOMTV.